and welcome to CLCI Live.
It's
Gonna be
snowing
a
here,
good
guys,
one.
with the sun shining, sort of.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Bet that's pretty.
Yeah, with the sun kind of peeking through the gray clouds. Looks amazing.
You can't see it if you're listening to this
Nice.
on the podcast, but
No, but just take Lisa's word for it.
take your word for it.
Think about it.
I hope it's sunny wherever you are. Before we get started, we are live, and except for those people who are listening afterwards. But if you're listening to us live, feel free to ask questions, join in the conversation. We would love to hear from you. And if you're not listening to us live, feel free to leave us comments, and we will circle back to them and hopefully answer your questions.
Mhm.
And make sure you subscribe, like, share, follow, all those things.
Mhm.
All right.
Like now,
do
subscribe
it
now.
now.
Do it. Stop whatever you're doing. Pause, subscribe, circle back. We'll wait for you.
You can do it also while you're just watching the video too. It's not.
You know what we should get? We should get like a little notification system. So when someone subscribes when we're live, we can
ring
like
a bell?
shout them out. And, yeah. We can make it like a fun
Yeah,
event.
shout out.
At that point, we're just like we're turning into Twitch streamers.
Yeah, at that point, we're
Okay.
which is
Okay.
fine. We
This
can
is
do that.
essentially
You
the
know,
same thing.
I did that for a while.
What are we talking about today?
The good stuff.
That's a hypothetical question. We're talking marketing
Marketing
101.
day. Marketing sucks because we just want people to want our services and just poof come to us. We don't want to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Lisa is
Coaches,
highly
buddy.
biased. This is her opinion that marketing sucks.
Yeah, some of us might have different opinions here, possibly.
Never.
But we're talking marketing 101 content strategy you need to know. Last week we talked about psychological theories you need to know about. Now we got to apply those theories and we got to make content. But before we even make the content, we got to have a strategy to do.
I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it even back a step further.
No.
Before we even make content, we should start by consuming content.
Mm.
Like, I think that is the true step one in all of this process is
Great
you
point.
gotta consume it to figure out what needs to be.
I'm gonna make an adjustment to that. You need to consciously consume content because you're always consuming content. Like there's no if you're watching this video, you're already consuming content. I can't imagine a situation in modern day times where you're not consuming content of one form or another, whether you know it or not. But before you start making your own content, you got to start being conscious of what it is you're consuming and seeing how it affects you and what are these different brands or companies trying to do with their content and what do they want you to do with it afterwards. I think that's what you mean, right, Brooke?
Yeah, there's a great quote that I like to go back to, and this can kind of be applied to multiple levels of marketing, is before you start talking, listen. So definitely gotta listen on the on the ecosystem of what you're dealing with first before you start putting things out there.
So like coaching before you start talking.
Yeah, that's applicable to a bunch of different spaces in life. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Definitely apply to
Can we
coaching.
just have a moment to look at that cat?
I know.
It's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
who is that? Is that Spork? It
Aww.
is. Aw.
Oh.
Just getting in the way and then starting to bite me and scratch me on the table. Yeah, you need to start listening and seeing what other people are doing, especially in your own field. If we're talking about life coaches, you should look at how other life coaches market their content, seeing what they're up to, getting your finger on the pulse of the industry that you are a part of as a professional.
I think you would be hard pressed to just like wake up, roll out of bed, and be like, "Man, I've never been on Instagram, but I'm gonna create the best Instagram content ever right this moment," without doing a little research, figuring out how, what to do, what people are doing. And I think, well, I'll share this as we get into, but it's just something to keep in mind. One of the best things you can do as well is whenever you post your content, is to go and interact with other people's content. Like, go and interact with 10, 20, 30 other accounts, 30 other posts immediately afterwards. And that will do nothing but boost and benefit the post you just posted. Because by doing that, you're being social. The algorithm's going to like you better. People are going to look at you and say, hey, this person's giving me a lot of interaction. And then they'll go to your account. It becomes this reciprocal process. So that's also that
Do we know the amount of time that, is like, is 20 minutes? If I post and then interact for 20 minutes, is that enough, or does it need to be longer?
I don't think there's an exact amount of like time. I would say a lot of the things I've read has said at least comment on at least 20 other posts.
Okay.
And that posts that are in your genre, like
Okay.
from people in your genre or clientele in your genre.
Okay.
In whatever, or your niche. So once you post, you then let that go up, let it start to do what it's going to do, and then switch and go ahead and start to consume and interact with at least 20 other posts and and that will help you boost your content.
I think that differs too on different platforms. I've seen Instagram is 50, but 20 is a cool baseline, I think, for all of the different platforms you'll be working on.
So that's a being social piece. Like if you're creating content and posting it in social media, it's just as important for you to be social. And so you can't be really a content creator that like pops in and then runs away. That's just not a thing. That interaction is important. I mean, maybe once you have a huge enough following, you can do that, but it's very important to keep the interaction going while you're growing your following.
I think that's important too to say, Brooke, because I think that's, a lot of times you spend so much time on content and then you have that, that imposter is like, I got to get it right. I got to do this. I got to edit. And then it's like, okay, I posted it. I'm done. I walk away. And so I think it's important for people to understand that too. And that's something I didn't even think about until meeting with a consultant and connecting with a social media manager. Like, yeah, you got to engage too. It's like, oh man, I can't just post and run. I just can't put right. So I think it's important for people to know that as well in terms of a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, you'll still, even for like super big companies, you'll see, like I see this on TikTok a lot, where like somebody will post a funny TikTok video, and then like Kane's Chicken will like comment.
Farmer Boys follows me. Yeah. Farmer Boys follows me and comments on my posts as a mermaid, and like they'll say like we have fish sticks, just so you know, like and things like that. Like
my god,
specifically directed.
By the way,
weird. I have interacted with them like you guys crack me up. Like this is like how did this even happen? Like, but it's funny. I think, and we'll get back to content strategy. There's a lot of like, is it millennials and like younger? So that's what, like Gen Z that are now running social platforms, and they like will just apparently like they're running it for big businesses. So they're out there interacting the same way that they might in other spaces. And so you'll just get these funny random interactions with large businesses. I love it. It's hilarious. And I just how that happens. Look up the Nutter Butter account on TikTok if you want to see the most like unhinged content I have ever seen created by a company that everybody knows, right?
Also, what is the translation one, like where you learn a different language?
The app.
Yeah, the app.
Is it Duolingo?
Yeah, Duolingo. Duolingo one. They have crazy interactions with like people. It's not really language related, but it's still funny. But it's interacting with the content and the people on social media, even if it's not just strictly posting content.
Well, speaking of interaction, I'd like to say hi to Steve and Jen, who's joining us right now.
Hi.
It's too many Jens.
Welcome.
Now.
Too many Jens.
Too many Jens. Wow.
So let's like go into some hard and fast. I mean, I won't say hard and fast, but some like best practices for which we talked a little bit about what happens after you've posted your content. But let's talk about some like what we think might be best practices for content strategy.
Like before you even post the content?
Yeah, like I mean, content strategy. Okay, so let's define what we mean by content strategy. How about that? Let's begin
Mhm.
there, shall we? What do we mean when we say content strategy?
Well, typically you have a goal in mind when you when you create a strategy. It is to achieve a goal that you have in mind. Which I remember observing this when we did like the business and marketing like lives, like the lunch and learns broke. A lot of people would have strategies, but they wouldn't have goals.
Which is weird.
Hmm.
It's not what we want. Yeah.
It's not what you want. It's probably better to just only have a goal and no strategy rather than strategy and goals as well.
I mean, we can have different goals in different, like every post can have a different goal. So we can have micro goals, we can have major goals, macro
But
and micro goals.
when I think of a goal in a strategy towards a goal, the goal that I'm thinking of like is what is the point of this marketing thing you're doing? Is it
Of this
to boost
content
sales?
creation of what
Yeah.
is the point of the content we are creating? What is the goal?
So yeah, so some goals I can think of is like I want to boost sales of this specific package.
Yeah.
I want to generate leads for groups of people coming in. I want to have more brand awareness or people just sharing the content that I'm posting so that I'm establishing myself as an authority figure for my SEO. Those are the kinds of goals I'm talking about. Not, I want to make $1 million a year.
And let's be real, creating content can be daunting. Just like Steve just said, he said that it can be a brain drain trying to figure out every post. So I think that that's really a big part of where strategy comes in, because we can sit down and not have any plan, and it having to figure that out every day can become a big drain. But you can also set aside a full day to come up with a plan for the month and what you need to do for that month, essentially what days you're going to post, what you need for it, everything. And then it's less about coming up with the idea, right? You've got one day of sort of planning and figuring out the idea, and then it becomes more about implementing the plan and implementing the strategy. And I think that takes some of that stress and pressure off of having to figure out, sitting down each day and having to go, what am I going to do? But having some kind of previous plan really assists in that. Just to give an example of what we do here, you're participating in some of our content creation as a part of an overall content strategy. And something I realized with the way we do things early on, this is sort of birthed out of us wanting to do demos. But then I realized, man, I can commit to once a week for an hour, getting online and talking. And if I can get other people to do the same with me every single week, like clockwork, we can take that and use that in our content creation strategy, and it can become something we build marketing around instead of having to think up everything. And then we took that, have been doing this for years now. The second piece of that is we now do marketing 101, ICF 101. And what are each of these things? They're containers that allow us to sort of more easily come up with the ideas of, oh heck, what are we going to do for this next month, for the next 5 weeks, for the next 6 weeks? We now have some structure that assists and makes that a little bit easier for us. And then we can.
And Brooke, I think I was just going to say, I think that what we just talked about with what you and Anthony shared, I think we kind of talked about two things we want to do before we make that first post is figure out what the goal is for your strategy, right? And then make the plan. And it's almost like a precursor to that is where we started talking about, actually look what's out there already. That was, again, early advice for me is go find you 3 to 5 people that's doing what you want to do or that you're doing. And not only just make sure that you're seeing it to see what you can gain from that, but engage. So you can see what that response is and how that goes too. And so I think that's an early part of first steps, like figure out what your goal is for it, whether it's growth, whether it's sales, whatever it is, engagement, and then build your plan around that before you think about, okay, let me just throw something and see if
I'm going to add one more piece onto that too, is make sure that wherever you're creating content for, pick a specific platform or place and make sure that's where your clientele is, the person that you're the strategy that you're marketing to. Make sure they're there and they're present and they're going to be using it. Because maybe they're not the kind of people that are in one place, but they are the kind of people that are in another place. So just have some awareness there, right? Of like, okay, where are my people at? Where am I creating content for? Who am I creating it for? And then how is that going to help them? I'll tell you, one of the greatest things that helps me when coming up with content is when I'm scrolling through and I stop and enjoy something, I stop and interact with something I read helps me, something I read gets me excited, and taking a note of that and going, okay, why did I really enjoy that? Okay, how can I apply this to my business and do something similar? Because if I'm excited about it and just had a great interaction with something, I'm going to have the same sort of excitement when I'm creating that, if that makes sense as well.
So
I wrote that down, Brooke, because I was like, yeah, that's something I don't do enough of. Like, that's part of it when you're consciously, as Anthony said earlier, when you're consciously looking at content, like how did it get your attention? What about it made you engage? And then how can you apply that? So I love that because that's something I think we probably don't do enough of.
and that's part of that conscious consumption of content.
Mhm.
It's taking a moment. It's like mindfulness meditation for capitalism. It's just being mindful
For your
of
business.
for your business. Being mindful of like what it is you're putting into your eyes, ears, mouth, and nose, and hands. Essentially,
I don't know what you're doing.
I
on
don't.
social
I don't
media.
know what other marketing hits the other sentences, but mostly your eyes and your ears. What do you like to see out there? What works on you? What causes you to buy things, to sign up to websites or email subscription services, things like that, and then learning from them. Because a lot of people, they get a little bit discouraged when the stuff they do doesn't work, or they're not seeing the results, and maybe they'll just write off this whole marketing thing as, I don't like it, it stinks, get someone else to do it. And then once you get someone else to do it, it starts
Right.
costing you money,
And
which
you know
you might not have at the beginning.
It's so funny. I mean, there's the other piece of this too. We want to solicit our interaction with our people, which essentially calls to action. And they're so important. It's something we mentioned, but like, even when I'm posting on my like personal account, I'm putting a call to action on everything. And it might seem awkward, it might seem weird or what have you, but I'm putting that in there. I'm inviting people to comment. I'm inviting people to interact with me, inviting people to share. And I've worked with people that are like, I get so frustrated because nobody comments, nobody does anything. And I'll just say, did you ask them to?
Mhm.
Did you tell them what to say? Did you ask a question? Is there something that you did to like generate that interaction? And when they interacted, did you respond to them? Did you give them back did you reciprocate? And that's important, is to not only create that content, that piece of content, whatever it might be, but the final step of that is to give them something to do with the content afterwards, a way to interact with it, the next step, the next piece, because that's what that goal is, to circle back. So like the goal is, we're coming up with that goal, overarching goal. If it's to get people to know you about your business, the micro goals are for them to engage with your content, for them to follow, for them to like, for them to share, for them to tell other people about it, for them to let their friends know if they think it will help them to, just all of these things that we can add in. But you have to put it out there. You have to ask, you have to verbalize it, you have to put it in text, you have to solicit that response and that interaction, and let go of any insecurity about doing that. Like, let it go. Kick it out the door. We're so used to it. Everywhere. There's a fun audio clip going around right now that's like, oh, asking people to like and share is so last year, and we all think it's tacky and silly now. So if you like this video, make sure you like and share it with your friends. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Big part of that. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of what content is, right? Shall we?
Yeah, we can hit like the bigger types of content that we typically see, like for off the top of my head, YouTube videos. And it's funny because YouTube videos is like its own sort of thing. There's not
It is.
videos. You don't post videos on Vimeo or videos on, what are some other sites you watch a video content, and it's like longer
Well,
form video.
Instagram Reels,
Yeah, you can.
TikTok,
Longer form content.
longer form. There's not
Yeah.
a lot.
Not
There's
really.
not a lot.
Yeah.
So YouTube takes the whole
YouTube-
cake for that.
Yeah.
Blog posting, which there's lots of places where you can do blog posting. Short form content. So you've got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts.
And short form content is really, I think, outside of podcasting, outside of streaming, short form content is really
Everything else.
where most, I think, of content is moving to that short form content outside of blogging. But they all have serve their own purpose.
Well, when you say outside of blogging, I mean, isn't like Twitter and like those sort of micro sort of things, like that's essentially blogging.
Short form content.
Just short form content.
Twitter for sure. X
What about Threads?
Threads.
Oof.
I don't know anything about it.
I haven't used
It's
it.
like Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's just on
Instagram's
the
version for Twitter.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Which Twitter's no longer Twitter. It's X. But we
Text,
all know it's
but it's Twitter.
I see.
Yeah.
Nobody calls it
We're not calling it that. No.
What are some other versions of content we can think of that's like those are the obvious big ones?
Well, and then of course anything we're posting, but we can get into the weeds a little with. Okay, when we say social media content, Instagram content can be carousels, it can be reels, it can be stories, it can be pictures. Facebook content can be anything and everything, yeah, pretty much. LinkedIn content is typically repurposed articles, things like that, blogs as you're going to get. So like different kinds of content are going to be present on different platforms. And that's why I mentioned that know where your client is and start there and create content for that platform for your client. There is a kind of a way to adapt your content to several different platforms, but one thing at a time.
Yeah. I think another thing I heard too that I guess helped me in the beginning with marketing and stuff is that you are your content. Like in this space where people want to know you and they want to feel like they're a part. Like, sometimes it's just getting started and figuring out what you want to do on the back end when you figure out your plan and all that, but you are your content. So what you already have going on and what you're doing, like what is a way that you can capture that to see now how I want to repurpose this and put it on different platforms once you find your target audience. So that's some great advice that I heard.
And Steve brings up a good point. Yeah, emails, newsletters, anything that how-tos, help, tools that we can create to help people and put out there. All of these are other more forms of content. So it's just essentially we're creating something that is going to an original something that is going to, and I used to use an acronym, it was enrich. But I can't remember exactly what it was. Enrich, so I can pull it up though, in everybody's day. And so that enrich was like entertain, news, so give them new news. I'm trying to remember what R is, and I have to sign into my account. I know the I was invite them, T was teach them. Wait, there's not a T. It wasn't T. So it's
Odd spelling of enrich, but
let it go. But essentially what we're doing is we're wanting to entertain them, teach them, invite them to something, make them an offering of some kind, offend them. I know that sounds crazy, but offend them. Help them, which also might fall under teach them, and then or also like show them something they wouldn't otherwise see without you having shown them. So that's like a behind the scenes, or sort of giving them a look into something that they may not otherwise have a look into without your presence. There's probably other reasons or other things we can do in our content, but those are really great sort of base level ideas of what to build your content around, right? Let's go ahead.
And something you said earlier too, Brooke. You when we were talking about like what is it that made you engage with content? Like I know one of the things too that you hear often is add value. Like are you answering something or filling in a void? I know for me, when you said that, I was like automatically two things that makes me purchase something or click on a website is humor, and if it's something I need, if it's a product or even apparel, clothes or something, if it's humor and something I need,
like, I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Checking
So
it
I
out.
think that's another thing too. Like, right, like adding value, like in some way adding value, or it's getting someone, it's interrupting something, a pattern that someone, it's like, I didn't know I needed this until I saw this post, that's
And
what
that's
gets
not
me.
really
So I think adding value
that's
is important.
that big like teach piece or giving them something they didn't know they needed piece, which is this if we look at the not Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but the it's oh goodness gracious, it's essentially like where people are in their buying mentality.
Their buying journey.
Yeah, it's purchasing awareness, buying awareness triangle, essentially.
Five stages of awareness.
5 stages. Thank you. The 5 stages of awareness, and the top stage is we're completely unaware. So that's like when we don't know we need something. We have no clue. And so one of the examples of this is there is a antimicrobial self-cleaning water bottle that got released, and essentially they got everybody's attention by showing how disgusting other water bottles can get, and like the molds and the just grossness that can inhabit itself in a water that you could be drinking. And so they took that, and that was how they made people aware. They used this sort of like shock and awe campaign, like, are you aware of what is in your water and how it gets there? And so that that's how they took people from the unaware stage to the aware stage, was by sort of shocking them into this moment of, oh my God, I could be drinking this, disgusting. And we can apply that to coaching in other ways, right? We have a lot of our clients out there completely unaware of what they might, that coaching could help them and benefit them. And so if you're able to bring them into that awareness piece by creating a piece of content that catches them by the eye and speaks to them and speaks to what it is that they might be doing to themselves or need, and appeals to them on an emotional level, that can really move them into the first stage, which is that second stage, which is problem aware. Oh, I have this problem. Now I know about it. And now the next natural step, if we have a problem, is we start to research our problem and look up everything about that problem and learn about our problem. And that's when our client becomes problem aware, or potential client. And so that what can we create for them, let's say, in that stage where they are now problem aware and starting to do that research? What kind of content could you create?
What's their problem aware?
Once they're problem aware, yeah.
They need solutions. If I'm already aware of the problem, start talking to me about solutions to the problem.
Yep.
I don't know why I thought of like advertisements for like this is a uniquely American thing, but advertisements for prescriptions and medications on TV and like the internet. You're already aware you have a problem. What they are selling you there is a solution to your problem, and they'll use all the flowery words to it and how it benefits you, but they don't need to tell you what the problem of like having a heart attack is or having like an acute illness. You're already aware you have that problem. What you're looking for is a solution, and that's how they get you with those TV advertisements. Of course, they followed up with all the side effects really fast.
Don't listen to the end of it because you go, why would I take that?
But that's what first pops into mind when I think of like problem-aware consumers who are needing solution-focused marketing.
So, what kind of solution? What do you think? What kind of content will help me? Well, let's take it back to one step.
proof. It's proof that your solution works. So it's like, how can you show them this? This is a testimonial of this person who needed this, that. And so now it's like, okay, this solution I need because I relate
Well,
to
I'm
this
gonna.
person. So it's like
That's
proof.
solution aware. So that's like one step ahead. When we're, which you're right. You're absolutely right. That's the when we're. This is kind of the harder bit for the problem aware. That's where you might do a sort of like a breakdown of like all of the things people may have tried, right? Like you know, a top 10 list, the 10 best things for this, the 10 best thing, you know what I mean? The 10 best solutions for this, the 10 best solutions for that. And if you're a coach, you could take it into like a smaller space. Mike, give me your niche.
Transformation.
Who's transforming into what?
So this is people who are career transition, life transition, transforming into that better version.
A better
basically.
version. So if we're gonna offer up like ways, tools to help them or in this space, it might be something along the lines of, you know, 10 different ways to ease the transition from A to Z, you know, whatever it might be, or something in that space where we're giving them some solutions and some various solutions they can try. The ultimate end all be all best solution, once they have tried those things, or once, you know, the natural next step will then be to work with you on whatever it is that you know, with your coaching, your one-on-one or your group call or whatever the next logical step is. Just to circle back really quick to that first stage, that unaware stage, and creating content for that unaware stage. What do you think might be good content for somebody who's unaware of them having a problem? As a coach.
5 horrible things you didn't know.
Speak to the pain point.
Well, it's true. That's true. That's absolutely true. That emotional appeal is important. That's going to get them to stop scrolling. That, like, to some degree. I mean, now it doesn't have to be all negative and terrifying. It can also be. Jen, what's your niche?
Well, I'm shifting niches from general life coaching to I'm going to be a food and body relationship coach. I don't coach you on nutrition or weight loss. I coach you on your relationship with food and with your body, because ultimately you can't escape that.
No escaping it.
You can go on any diet you want. You can eat any way you want. And if your relationship with food doesn't shift, you're not going to shift.
And so to create a piece of content, what is one thing you could say to somebody that is wanting to become more, have a better relationship with their body and food?
Well, so the woman that wants that, she's been through it and she knows like there's no quick fix, and she knows that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I can speak to all of those pain points pretty clearly because I live them.
What about, and I'm speaking to the unaware people, how, and we're assuming this person, they've been through it all, they're having trouble with their body image or their food, whatever it is, but they're unaware that it's fundamentally a relationship between their body and food, and they're not there yet. They're unaware that, oh, I can think of it as a relationship between myself and food. How could you enlighten them to that?
Well, when you said, I don't know if it was Mike or Brooke, I can't remember, someone said about the list of like all of the things that you've tried or done, immediately I was like, oh, I can show you everything that didn't work. And I guarantee you the client that feels connected to me is going to see that and go, oh my God, I'm the same.
Yeah, right. I've been there. I know that. I understand that.
Right. So it would be a matter of, you know, showing the client that, you know, I can relate to all of these pain points. I know them. I'm familiar with them.
As somebody that would absolutely get Jen's services, I can think of, you know, saying something along the lines of like, or to the I'm trying to think of the right way to word this, but of scared. I mean, because if it was me, I'm coming from a person who's experienced her weight loss journey, but now it has some fear around sliding backwards, has some fear about getting back on that roller coaster of weight gain, lose, gain, lose, gain, lose, and speaking into that, fear that exists, and it's that I am successful in fear of losing my success. I have fear, and so speaking into something in that space would be where it's that something, that fear that we live with every day, but maybe we don't, we're just starting to realize we want to live without it, and that's bringing into that awareness that it's possible to live without it.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm speaking because I can totally relate to Jen's niche, so 100%. And so that we've moved from awareness into, now let's talk about that solution aware bit, because once we know we have the problem, and then now we're starting to research our problem and all the things about our problem, all the things that are wrong with us, all the things that mean that, oh my God, I have this problem and I'm not the only one with this problem. Look at all these other things that tell me I'm learning about myself and my problem. Now, okay, how do I solve my problem? So now we get into that piece, Mike, where we're going to start exploring solutions. We're going to get deep into the solutions, and we're going to start to compare solutions to each other and compare all of that. And it gets a little muddy between solution aware and product aware. Solution aware is a little more general. Product aware is once we've sort of started to get to the point where we have bought something and we have bought into a solution or a product, and we're utilizing it, and we're getting to that point where, okay, we're going to compare it with other things out there and sort of take our personal experience, and it gets a little more finite once we get further down that puzzle. But content can be created for each one. So let's talk about, for that solution aware person, testimonials. Like you mentioned, testimonials. Huge.
Yeah, testimonials and social proof. That
Social
now
proof.
it's like, okay, I'm thinking about this. I really want to do it. I'm aware. I just want to know that I'm making a good decision, right? Like that one step past the emotion. You got my attention. You're speaking to me because I know what my relationship with food was. But now it's like, okay, how do I know I'm making the right decision? So yeah, that social proof, that testimonials and success stories that lets someone know that, okay, this is the thing I need to do.
Because if we think about it, in my head, I go, I can budget, $200 a month to solving this problem. So now it's like, I have to prove that that $200 is best spent on what I have to offer and not something else. And with the way that things are now, Jerome went into social proof last week. Was it last week or the week before? I think it was last week.
I think that was last week. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a deep dig last episode in social proof and all the different kinds of social proof. There's 6 different types. And you can create content for each of those 6 different types. For sure. Content comes into play in those. We won't get back into it, but sure, you could figure out testimonials. If we're talking social proof, just by virtue of co-marketing with somebody that people already trust or something that people already trust, that is a form of social proof. That is also a fantastic way to create content, because now you're not doing it alone. You have looped in somebody else who is also a content creator, creating content of some kind, and you get to share the load and both benefit from one another. So that is and it enhances your value, enhances your social proof, just by virtue of making a partnership with somebody who's got their own following. So
to give you guys like a practical example, and this will hopefully speak to some of you who've taken our classes and found our classes from the Forbes top 7 life coaching articles. That is kind of a partnership with an already established content creation platform. Forbes has been in the business for years. And it's also that article, Top 7 Schools, where we're one of them. It's kind of combining the steps of solution aware and product aware. Solution aware in the fact that, hey, coaching is a product that exists. Coaching in general, not just our school, but coaching in general is one of the solutions that can be used for somebody to achieve some sort of goal. So, like in Jen's case, with the relationship between food and body, I mean, what are other solutions other than coaching that are out there?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky one because there's certain. So my client again has probably already done those things.
Mm-hmm.
So therapy.
Well, okay. So therapy is a solution.
Treatment. There's all sort. There's going to be a whole like,
yeah. So
support groups.
But there's a lot of solutions, and there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, I guess would be the way to put it.
Is there though? I feel like there's probably only one.
There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. But all we're saying is, like, yes, people go to psychologists, Steve, to I'm gonna just say it's like weight loss and food and
weight loss it's different though because it's after weight loss. So
it's about how to live sustainably, where you're doing things from a place of your relationship with food is in harmony and you have peace with your body, but you're taking care of yourself and you've created a life you want in terms of taking care of yourself, but it's coming from a place of love rather than self-hate. It's like
So then the alternate solutions for that people may have tried and failed or maybe have succeeded, psychologists, maybe a nutritionist, maybe a therapist or a counselor or a mentor.
My client probably has gone through all of that and nothing has really finally done it for her. I am the last missing puzzle piece to her happiness.
But what I'm getting at is there are multiple solutions for the person who is problem aware.
Yes.
Once we're at the solution aware, like I'm aware that all these things exist, now it becomes product aware. And that's when we're like, coaching is the answer. Or in the case of our Forbes article, Certified Life Coach Institute is the answer to a problem amongst the other products. And even further than that, okay, now we know that coaching is our solution with Jen. How is a client supposed to choose Jen amongst other coaches now who might be in the same sphere?
This is good because there's people out there that are doing this, but it's much more geared towards weight loss. It's much more geared towards teaching someone how to eat, and I won't be doing any of that. You have to already have a baseline knowledge of that before we do the work together. And so, again, I think why would you choose me is let me share my story. Let you see a piece of yourself in me. Let you feel comfortable and safe with me. And then if you're ready, you're ready. I don't really know how to communicate that.
But it's funny is so if I mean not to toot Jen's horn, but if you go onto Jen's Instagram, she had a carousel that she really put out, and then it shared her story and it shared her journey and it shared the low parts, the middle parts, and then the where she was now. And she wasn't giving everybody solutions or anything like that. She was sharing her journey. And when after she put that out, I was like, I would have hired you, like that carousel. I would reach out to you and I would hire you as a coach. Like in a minute, you spoke to what I want. You spoke to what I need. You spoke to what I've been thinking of and I don't know how to achieve. And I would hire her. I messaged her. I was like, "This is it right here." Like, I
just gotta keep putting out more content like that. Is what you're saying.
I was just about to say, but that goes back to the point for any of the viewers with those questions that Anthony had there. Jen had an answer, meaning it's something that you're passionate about that you can find your voice in. And I think that's one of the big things with marketing is we just, like, let me throw all this out there and I don't know what my voice is or who I want to serve and how I want to help them. So I think that's important takeaway. Like that's content marketing. Like you saw that and was like, wait a minute, okay, now it spoke to my pain point, something I didn't know I needed. I want to hire you, and that should be the aim when you're thinking about your content marketing and the strategy that you want to put out there. So I think that's awesome, and people being able to see that because that's part of it.
And it was from a place of honesty, and it was her sharing her journey. And I think that it was very cool because she was vulnerable in it too.
What I think was funny, and I told you this, Brooke, my brother, I shared it with him. He's a content producer for a big company, and he was like, you didn't share what it was. You didn't share the solution. And I was like, that's because there isn't a solution. The solution is the work. The
You are
solution
the
is
solution.
the journey, the evolution. You are the yes. And it was so funny because he was like, no, well, you left me hanging. I was disappointed. I didn't get the dopamine hit. I didn't get the payoff.
Like, subscribe, and come back for more.
Come back for
And that's
more.
the point,
Yes.
because they're supposed to come to you to get that.
Exactly.
not
Yep.
look at it, right.
That was
okay.
the hook. That was the hook.
Yeah.
I think in all of this is it's pretty what Jen's speaking about. She also spotlit her brand's personality, which is I think important in content creation. It's really gonna differentiate you from the other, maybe potential companies or sources that have answers for a client, but they want to go to somebody that they can kind of maybe adapt to or relate to better than they have other possible solutions for themselves. So you also want to make sure that you are including your personality with your brand, because that creates the whole social aspect of social media. That's what can help you differentiate from the crowd.
And I think too, what's funny is if we're speaking to what Jen's brother was looking for versus what I would be looking for, he wanted the solution. He wanted the quick fix. But here I was the one who I hate being led. I hate being told what to do a lot of the time.
Yep.
And if I'm in a coaching session where I feel like my coach they're trying to lead me in a specific, and I feel that, I rebel against it. Like I get all cringy and I don't like it. And so the fact that she didn't tell me this is the solution spoke to me, because I don't want somebody who's going to give me these 3 steps, because they have no clue if those 3 steps are going to work for me. And so for me, that's why I am her client and her brother isn't, right?
It's great. You're not supposed to coach.
It's okay that her brother didn't like that, because he is not her client, right? He is not, but I am. So that's the big difference, and to highlight that difference. And again, yes, Jerome, you're 1,000% right. Share your voice, have a face to your brand, create that brand name, create all of us here, each of our faces. One of the reasons we love having all of our facilitators on is everybody here is a face of our brand. So, and y'all got interviewed, y'all had to jump through hoops to be here and do what it is to be here, to work for us. And we chose you because we want you to be part of our brand and want your face out there as part of our brand. And so it's important. That piece is very, very important, because Mike's approach and who Mike is going to speak to somebody that is different than who Lisa is going to speak to, that is different than who Jen is going to speak to, who I will speak to, who Jerome will speak to, who Anthony will speak to. And so
why is Anthony shaking his head?
I don't speak to people. I try to avoid speaking as much as possible.
All of the cynics with a sense of humor are coming to our school because of Anthony.
And that connects with, I was going to say, that connects with someone. Man, I saw Anthony. I liked him.
I can't remember who it was, but it was someone I talked to on the phone, and he went through all of our personalities, and he gave us all marks. He was like, you're this and you're this and this person's this, and I love this person will come in, and he acknowledged everyone in a different way, and it was so fun to hear. It was like he appreciated all the differences.
Okay, well now we want to hear what those were.
Yeah,
He said
Tell me
Jerome
more.
Jerome was quiet yet powerful. That one I remember.
Nice.
But that's important. That's putting your face and a voice to our brand. And so do the same with you. Don't be afraid. And that as a coach, I think it kind of has to be you, right? Unless like you're a coach with a bunch of other coaches, like you've got like a coaching conglomerate of coaches all working together, then it may not have to just be you. You might be able to share that spotlight. But if you're opening a coaching business on your own, it can be you. If you really don't want it to be you, it can be your client. That's the other option, right?
Or your AI representation.
AI representative. Yeah, there we go.
I mean,
we connect with faces and we connect with personalities and voices, so it's an important part of your content for sure.
absolutely.
If CLCI was a boy band, what would our name be?
Oh, God. CLCI, duh. 80-20.
I like that.
Oh,
80-20. That's nice.
okay. Or like WAIF, right? WAIF. That could be our.
Wafing it. We out here wafing it.
Wait, we got to tell everyone what that is because now we've mentioned it.
Waif. Why am I feeling? Why am I feeling? Having the need to feel or have fillers.
Filling
in a
the space. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Instead of just allowing the silence. Why am I filling? So good.
That could be, and that could be in that space. I did a social media, and we're talking about content strategy presentation for some youth, and I put wait, and why am I posting? Like asking yourself this question: what's the goal? Yeah, like what's the goal of this?
Yeah.
Now I said it in a different way that connected with them more, but for this, like thinking about that idea, like why am I posting, or even sometimes sharing, like what is the purpose of me doing something in terms of is it going to affect my content strategy or whatever? So that's another thing to think about as well.
I don't think WAIF would be a good boy band for us. WAIF is like a homeless child, is what it means.
So let's take a moment and all, as we're finishing off in part of our final thoughts, let's share the last piece of content that really left an impression on us, or the last piece of content that you were really proud of that you made. Either one. Really, everybody, it's okay if it's stupid.
I'll go first.
It's okay if there's a cat making a funny face, because we can learn from that. Okay, so it doesn't matter how stupid. Now, Anthony, if it's really debauched, don't share it.
Yeah, like the ones that came to mind, I'm just not gonna share.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
But we can learn from it, no matter how silly you think it is, whatever piece of content it is. Let's just quickly share what it was, and then maybe we can share a quick takeaway from that piece of content.
Yeah, I'll go first since it's my literal job here at CLCI. And it was one of the more recent posts. It was, since we're on the topic of marketing for the last few weeks, I went ahead and put out something that emphasized ways you can market without being online. So things that include, being out in your community. Sometimes, you can just do print and stuff like that. That works for certain people. I had fun working on it. Those are usually some of my longer posts that take as far as when it comes to working on them. But also they're very informative to me because I do my research. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys valuable content. So I get to have some fun kind of just searching through some of the research and understanding ways to help you guys out. And if you haven't seen it, go on our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and go give it a like or share it.
Nice.
I think for me, too. Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, I was gonna just quickly say I'm not gonna be able to name some of the content that I consume because it's just inappropriate by the name itself. But funny content, anything that's funny and that will make me cry laughing, I will. You've hooked me, and I will revisit it for years and years down the line, and it will stick in my brain. So I'm whatever that niche is of just comedy, and if you can make somebody laugh and cry laughing, you probably got them in your clutches. So be funny in your marketing.
And that was a perfect alley-oop to me, Anthony, because I would say two of mine is humor and high energy.
Mike's great at that.
So high energy and humor. And so one of the pages that if anybody follows me in my stories, probably every other day, there's one account that I will share. and they do these funny little posts where it's like jokes or dad jokes, and they do it in a humorous way where I love it. And so I think for me, that's it, because it's so tough. It can be tough out here, and it's so much information and content that has you questioning or pulling your hair out, and I don't have any more to pull. And so for me, it's humor, and I get a joy out of knowing that at least I can bring a smile to someone's
You
face.
still have some. It's
That's
on your
me.
chin.
Yeah, I don't want to pull that out though. I need to leave that. So that's me. Yeah, humor and stuff.
I know from Mike's like that high energy. I always know that like if I'm tuning into one of Mike's videos, I'm gonna leave it feeling pumped. Like that is what Mike get. I love that, and I know that about him, and I know that about the content he's creating. That I'm gonna
first core value, high energy presentation.
Yep, is that I'm gonna walk out feeling like
Mike makes my job easier because I get to share all of his content.
Jen, Lisa.
So I have found that I really like content where people are being critical of their own thing. So I actually love content that is like, critical of all of the influencers about food and body, because there is so much that's a mess. And so I get hooked by like, bringing awareness to all that. There's so much stuff that like I didn't know how problematic it was even myself until I saw the critique, and I was like, oh my God, I can't unsee that now. That's terrible. Oh my God. And I'm so grateful for the person bringing the awareness. So I feel like I'm going to do some of that, because that to me is a way to like educate, but also entertain at the same time.
Create that.
I want to just add a little tidbit. When I don't currently write our blogs anymore. We have another writer, but when I used to write them, I would try to add humor into the blogs in my own brand of humor, which might have hit or missed. I don't know. It wasn't off color or bad humor.
I know that Lisa and I loved it.
Just weird enough humor so that I could get through writing a blog without ripping my own hair out. But yeah, that just reminded me of that for some reason. Lisa?
Yeah, I would agree. I think everyone has put humor on their top part of their list, and definitely humor, cuteness captures my attention, but also content that I'm interested in. So on a serious note, someone who's experienced, let's say, autism spectrum and working with children. I listen to a lot of those contents. I listen to educational kinds of things that capture my attention as well. Does it have to have, it can't be monotone. It doesn't have to be high energy, but it can't be low energy. There's this one speaker that I flip on now and again, just as I'm, as everybody scrolls, and I can't get off that page fast enough, because there's just something that monotone turns me completely off.
Mike is not monotone.
And no, I think he's kind of funny sometimes.
Is he the clear eyes guy who talks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about, like Ben Stein.
Ben Stein.
Oh, like Ben Stein, yeah. But I think he's
Eugene
more humorous. Yeah. Maybe not as drolling as he is, but
Eckhart Tolle is a little dry. I'm not.
Oh my gosh! I was having a conversation with my friend the other day, and we were talking about, I would like to go. He's having a thing over in Greece. I'm like, oh, I'd love to go to Greece. And then she pointed out, I can't do Eckhart Tolle, so I'm going to go to sleep.
Exactly. Totally.
I love a lot of the things he says, and I have watched up to about 10 minutes. So.
Yeah.
He's going to see this and give us a very strongly worded
No. Take that part out. I really enjoy him.
Sorry, Mr. Tolle.
He's awesome. He's the best.
As far as content, I mean, I consume the gamut. Everything from cat videos to self-help and coaching. But I it's funny because weird with self-help because I don't want solutions, because nothing can be solved in a post, in my opinion. So, but entertain me, make me problem aware, things of that nature. Yes, please share your story with me. I love that. As for content I create, I'm a mermaid, so it allows me to come up with a lot of, I do fun stuff. My content is created from doing things I love and enjoy. So right, like there's something there. So I just make a point of like being that obnoxious person that pulls out a camera when I'm at a diving session, when I'm doing, and just do a quick recording. It only takes a few seconds, and then I can put that together and make something out of it. I posted something today that is performing fantastic, like hand over fist, better than some of my posts I've ever done before. And I think I know why. And I got the idea because I follow free divers who will just post a hold your breath with me as they swim through something very cool. And so it gives you this, you're sort of practicing holding your breath, which is important if you're a mermaid, right? It's helping with that. And it's also entertaining, and you get to see this stuff and you're sort of challenging yourself. So I posted a video of me modeling under the water, holding my breath, and it's just hold your breath with me. And I have so many. And then at the end, I go, tell me in the comments if you made it. I want to know, how was it? How did it feel? And what do you think? How do you think these pictures are going to turn out? And I'm getting so many comments on people going, I made it. I didn't make it. Thank you so much. I shared this. I'm going to come back to it and keep practicing. And I was like, wow, okay. And that was something that I consumed, right? I was consuming other freedivers who do videos like this. And I was like, I like that. I'm going to adapt it to mermaids. And I adapt it for mermaids. The two cats talking to each other that are having an argument that was going around, I took that and adapted it to mermaids. And so I'm consuming and going, how can I apply this to my mermaid brand?
So good. How can I apply what I like to my brand? Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get inspired. You
Yeah.
don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time.
Yeah.
And thank God I have other people that I can create content with. I'm telling you, the more you can create a community of other coaches that you can work with, create content with, it will do nothing but make your life easier as a content creator. So don't be afraid to reach out and make friends with people who are in the same spaces as you and share that load. Yeah, for sure.
All right, that should wrap up our Coaching 101 content strategy. What are we doing next week?
Next week we are doing customer relationship, like how to. So we've done marketing, we've done all of this stuff, but there's a piece that often gets left out in marketing, and that is that what the heck do I do once I have them as a client? Like once they have bought something with me, how do I maintain that relationship? How do I keep them liking me? What are the steps for me to just keep going? So it's, and this is still in the marketing space for me too. So it's, how do I pique their interest? How do I keep them, buying and consuming my content and being a part of my brand and business? And so that's what we'll be talking about. It'll be our last week of Marketing 101, and then we will set this aside for another year. It's so funny. It's easy for me to do these, but I'm so grateful when we are done with them because I've talked about it so much. And then also the other piece of it too is I love learning, and I get to learn in the other spaces, and I feel like I don't get to learn as much, but I still do definitely learn, and I love the refresher for, okay, what's going on now? Also, we did not talk about this. Don't be afraid to start researching AI to help you with your content creation. Don't run away from it. I'm actually going to pop an article by SEMrush in this chat right now before we hop off. I've already got it up. And it really sort of does a dive into some of the ways you can use AI successfully, because there is successful and unsuccessful ways to use it. So pop that in there. And that's it.
Okay. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that call to action stuff. And the solution, take our classes. Coaching 101, Coaching 102.
Period.
If you know somebody that wants to be a coach or you think they'd be a great coach, go ahead and share this with them.
Buy the class for them. Force them to take the class.
We exist.
Take our mentoring as well. Mentoring's having really good results because you're getting more one-on-one feedback on what's happening, and it's just changing the game of who you are as a coach once you've taken the classes and the training, getting some practice. Go see a mentor, whether you come through us or another mentor. It's just going to up your game that much more.
I'll tell you, our mentor, we're full until July, so
Mhm.
if you want to get in now. But
Also, don't go to other mentors.
wait,
Come
but
back.
wait. One thing, for anybody who is an alumni that ends up watching this before, the March 20, or I'm sorry, the end of April 2024. Actually, I think we'll probably be sold out by May 2024. We are doing another Acme.
Yeah.
We will be announcing details for Acme
Yay.
tomorrow, but another Acme is happening, which is our alumni coach mastermind event. So check out our socials, check out all that good stuff, because we will be announcing details tomorrow. And I have to go teach a class. So
Okay. See you guys next week.